All right, out there, ladies and gentlemen, to the 500 strong. We are 500. Yes and amen, man. Welcome in to another episode of A Different View. Juneteenth edition, right? 2024. Happy Juneteenth to y'all out there, right? Ladies and gentlemen, we have referenced many things over this podcast before, but I think many of them boil down to the everyday we live. Excuse me. Many of these things deal with the everyday. As the song goes, everyday people, because we live every day, man. We do. This system that has been set up, y'all. And we're just going to talk again, as we do on this podcast, with any subject, right? General and specific speech. And I think when you, as we say on this podcast, sip the syrup of massa, listen to, read, and have been indoctrinated with the doctrine of massa, when you understand, overstand, innerstand, and outerstand, right? How do I say this? The education of massa. You will start seeing things in massa-colored glasses. Okay? Scripture warns on this, talking about how you can't serve two masters. Which means one is a very real one, same as the other. One speaks to a level of originality, and one does not. Now, I'm not going to go on this podcast and talk about things such as the original person. We're not going to go there. Although there have been anthropological studies to show why I would have a basis of going there. Although people, like with many documents of history, believe these things to be a hoax because you are being told that they are. Again, I normally reference these things, but there are undeniable factors in the middle that connect each other. It's the same thing with Christianity, believing that it is the only belief on the planet, ladies and gentlemen, and to my Christian brothers and sisters, when we do this, we are not doing this in remembrance of Christ. We're doing this in remembrance of the one who is the enemy, the open enemy of Christ. You have got to understand, right? And again, overstand, right? I love how they play around with the word understand today. That's a nice little touch, right? Guys, a lot has gone on the planet. On the planet. Yeah, all you know about is America. But again, on the planet, there's a term you can look up called the Taino people. This is when you speak on Puerto Ricans, because again, the word Puerto Rican means rich port. Kind of blew me away when I found that out. See, when the colonists, again, another one of these words that's been put in the dictionary for you to speak, to hide the sins of people's ancestors, right? Right, John Wilkes Booth has an ancestor, or excuse me, well, yeah, he had ancestors, but has descendants. So he is an ancestor, okay? Plantation owners have descendants, and the friends thereof, y'all, they are ancestors. Those who were bosses for the sharecropper are ancestors to the descendants and the friends thereof today. I do truly believe, when speaking on the subject of the things between, as the word goes, the races. Again, I like it better said as the cultures, because again, you realize when you deal with race, it literally is a competition, and it's a pseudo one made up. So people have an excuse to kill folks at will, where they make up laws and doctrines. That's just another word for teaching. whereby they can make disciples of humans, disciples of students, unholy teachers teaching folks to kill folks. See, this is why we call this podcast A Different View. See, the different view on here is this is not about takeover, ladies and gentlemen. It's about sharing. The quicker that we understand that, the quicker that we stand up for the darker skin-toned folks on this planet, which are numerous in number. You must say it, and you must say it boldly. This is not to exclude anyone else. Again, to quote the great rap group Run DMC, it's like that. And that's the way it is. You know? Hey guys, this is, and gals, this is not a, and this thing is to the women just as much the men. Ladies, don't see again, general and specific speech. Man, how we have missed it, man. You hear one thing on a message and then think that thing is only for these people. This is for everybody, man. I really don't know how else to say that. Again, unfortunately, when you're talking about women, which is why I say women need to stand up and start speaking out for themselves, because a man can only speak so far. You're not a woman. You do have feminine in you like you have masculine in you, male, but yet you are not woman, right? So much so to the point that you can choose whether to operate more in feminine or masculine. You see this in the cases of single fathers, especially with girls. They got to tap into that feminine side in order to reach that girl. Yes, in a masculine way. They reach their daughter, I should say. Yes, in a masculine way. You see this with husbands and wives. You can't relate with a woman as a man without having something to relate to that woman with. See, again, you have fallen under the dupage of massa, man. You have. And that one comes out in the form of sexism. It's the one we're going to deal about today, deals with racism, right? Another one that comes about somewhat maybe of a weird sick offspring from the both of those is also ageism, where we start as young folks making fun of old people, and let's be clear, old folks making fun of young people. Again, to my Christian brothers and sisters, if you so believe the Bible, then it is true in Timothy when you are told to not despise the youth. Now, yes, it's said the other way around to a young person, don't let folks despise you because of your youth, but think of it in the reverse, because the reverse is there clear as day. It's right there. That the old should not despise the young for their youth. And because that thought is there, young folks do not despise the old for their youth. There is something we all can glean from, and the inability of doing it is what gave rise to racism. Like, for instance, segregation. Now, we're going to get into that today because this is what I was talking about a couple days ago. That made me sick to the core to find out. But find it out we did. Listening to a news episode about the X-Men on YouTube. Dude breaks down different Easter eggs and all this kind of stuff. And in one of them, which that TV show, y'all, I tell you about it. I tell you what, man, shout out Stan Lee. And actually, before we go further in here, shout out to Spotify for podcasters. See, somebody's got to be the group, the entity, which we will get into that here in a minute. Somebody has got to be bold enough to allow and let and make a safe haven for people to speak up enough against the dark, y'all. We do not profit if we continue to do the 1, 2, 3 for me, 1 for you. Because we live down here, one big old place, and we gotta share it and dress it and keep it. And then part of the keeping is in sharing this planet. When we decide, when Europe decided, when those of the Arab nations decided, speaking specifically to Africa, we're talking about history now. Again, the things that set precedent for today, that set the example. That's what precedent means, right? When you're speaking law, and in law terms, precedence dealing with that initial thing that sets the example by which something else can be done. Just going to pull up this article real quick because we got to go over it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you've come from, right? I must say it again because I know the thoughts in the mind, and this affects all of humanity. Again, if you're okay holding down 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of people in the ability, and this is aside from what people are going through in their own neighborhoods, communities, all that kind of thing, where we got to clean up. And to my black brothers and sisters, we need to clean up. It's time to get out your best deck broom, as they call it. That's them big brooms that Big Mama used to push on the porch, along with the corn broom, right? The skinnier broom, sweeping off the porch. It's time to get the dirt off the porch, y'all, so we can sit out and enjoy this good land that God above has made us, man. You know what I mean? Aretha Franklin said it right, man. Beautiful and black. Blessed. Beautiful and black, man. This is where it's at, y'all. I mean, this is where it's at. And when we get it, we got it. And until we get it, we ain't got it yet. Oh, man. Young, gifted, and black. I want to say it correctly. So I just wanted to look that up. But it deals with beauty. It deals with beauty. You got to encourage yourself, y'all. Man, looking at some of these artists here, I'm just looking on Spotify at the different ones with dear sister Aretha Franklin, and we can say that because that sister grew up in the church. See, man, when do the Christian, when do y'all stop playing pauper? As I've said on this podcast, for Nero, for Herod, for the U.S. government. When do you take a stand? To allow people to live free, to love who they want, without pushing it off on somebody else. Now I'm talking about just living free. When do we do it? There should have never been the creation of the AME church, but by the grace of God, there go I. Excuse me. What do I mean by that? Y'all in the AME church, keep on rocking with it. They don't want you. They don't want to worship with you. That's okay. They don't want to understand what's going on. They don't want to look outside of themselves. They don't want to be meek. See, blessed are you when you're meek, when you can put yourself in a place. How, KJ, could you possibly say that the so-called white man could put himself in the place of the black man? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you in bold truth today. I'm proclaiming, right? We done looked over that word. Proclaiming to you today, every one of these wars that has started in these lands, so-called Europeans were okay with putting their brothers and sisters on the line to protect their greedy interests. That's exactly what happened to black folks. See, again, when you sip down the syrup of massa, you miss certain connecting points. We are more connected than we're divided, and the divisions we have connect us. Hey. I will say it again. We are more connected than we're divided. And the divisions we have, the dividing points we have, connect us. Because I got a big nose, big lips, wide forehead. Does not separate me from the person. And short curly hair, that nappy hair, right? Like the group Nappy Roots out there. Shout out one time to Black Music History Month. See, again, we're talking about another part of the game where black folk were excluded. And in true fashion, made by a beautiful designer. We grew up out that concrete anyway. Because you can't stop life, man. You can't. You can't. Segregation. Different than separation. Segregation according to the U.S. government. Which took a lot of court hearings in order to take that thing down. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many different times I can tell you, but every time you see this stuff, one, it's readily available for you to see online. Readily available. Stop believing the lie they're telling you. I know we hear this phrase a lot. A lot of this stuff is online, y'all, and readily available to see. I was listening to somebody on the podcast talking about Jekyll Island over in Georgia. Do y'all know about Jekyll Island? Did you know natives lived on that land before Europe came calling? Did you know black folks had thriving towns out there before Europe came calling? Again, I know by the time we hit the 1800s, soon as 1776 hits, all of a sudden in the mind, it's, nope, that's got nothing to do with Europe anymore. It's all America. I'm letting y'all know today, this is the carbon copy of Europe, y'all. Kings and queens were switched out for the presidents of the world. Man, I don't know how else to say it. Sorry if y'all hear in the background they're doing some work around the apartment complex I'm in, so if that sound comes across, it's they doing that yard work, like yard work that black folks was doing, picking cotton for somebody else, tending to the grass and stuff, jobs that they switched out with the black person for our dear Mexican brother and sister that, they still make fun of till this day. Because again, when you speak on the word lazy, especially with the young folks, you got a lot of grown folks who are lazy, don't want to clean their own bathroom. Don't want to have to deal with the smell of their own nasty other folks. Who don't know how to wipe themselves in the bathroom, don't know where the toilet is, and we shop in all these stores, ladies and gentlemen, don't we? And that's folks of all types. The porter, as it used to be called, that was Negroes doing that, like you got mammy, like they wanted to resurrect. This is something that you can look up online. I don't think I have it on my deal anymore. Because, again, to look at a lot of this stuff is painful. That's another thing, y'all. Be okay. Be okay with dealing with somebody else's pain, ladies and gentlemen. How do you think this is going to work if we don't work it? How do you think this thing is going to work? We don't work it. Let me see if I can find this, and if yeah. So this is azcentral.com. I'm gonna see if there's a couple of them. So the House Republicans a couple of days ago, Republicans, right? And again, see, before we get off, there's another thing we keep doing. We believe the Democrats is for black folks, and there's certain black folks that think because of a quote-unquote conservative mindset. Again, what you believe in doesn't have to have a title on it. It's just what you believe in. So if you believe you should have access to guns, that's fair, but you need control with it. See, this is why the liberal conservative thing is also a misnomer. And it wraps up black people in this thing. Like Joe Biden telling folks that if the black folks didn't vote for him, they weren't black. How you telling me who I vote for in this sick, systematic built thing for someone else other than me makes me any less me? See, in the mind, renew your mind. You got to let go and be set free, right? Verse in the Bible that talks about loose thou art loosed, right? T.D. Jakes, this is one of these messages of which he came to prominence in, and a very serious thing, because there's an emotional thing behind being, when you're bound. See, we talked about in Isaiah 61, being bound and being loosed from that prison, internally, mentally, right? Comes out in the physical body. When does it happen, y'all? When does it happen? When do you allow it to happen in your life? That's where this is at when you're talking about the power of Juneteenth. So, the GOP, the Republicans wanted to rebuild down in South Carolina, I believe. Let me see if I can find this thing here. Let's see if we can find the article. All right, so this is from The Hill, and it was narrowly defeated, by the way. This is from thehill.com, right? Yeah, this is from thehill.com, okay? Says the GOP effort to restore, again, Grand Old Party. That's what GOP stands for, because, again, they believe that was a Grand Old Party back then, so they nicknamed it that, right? The Republican Party. Again, realize that these party lines switched spots back then. They were all not what they are today. All still holding the same thought process, though, and that's making sure people was doing work for them without them giving them proper credit for it. A Republican-led effort to restore a Confederate statue featuring a black mammy in Arlington National Cemetery was narrowly defeated late Thursday. This late Thursday we're talking about was 6/14. It's going to hold a second while they pass there, so y'all not catching all that noise. All right, y'all, and we're back. Sorry about that. Real life happens no matter what it is. So here we're at about 22 minutes, and again, we're really going to end this here. So we got about another 10 minutes, because again, it's not about keeping y'all long. It's about letting you know what's going on. So here's a note talking about African descent history, and while I do agree to that on a certain level, just to end this is about Mammy here, okay? Before I get on into some history here, because this is recent. There's a statue online, y'all. You can see that they wanted to resurrect as far as Mammy and what was going on. The statue was first unveiled. This is from thehill.com. And again, the article reads, GOP effort to restore Confederate Mammy monument narrowly defeated. And it was defeated by a 192 to 230 vote, by the way. Introduced by Representative Andrew Clyde, a Republican from Georgia. See, again, this thing got nothing to do with republic, deals with government for people. Democracy deals with government over people, if you will. Still for the people, or by the people, more or less government by the people, I should say. And where republic deals with people, this is just a definition you can look online. You look at the definition of the word, then go look at its etymology of the word. The other thing is dealing with the republic is dealing with the people. You know, you don't have government without people, okay? And this is something that we miss, just like you don't have business without workers, bosses. Again, another one of these things has been affected by racism. See, when I tell y'all it's affected everything, racism's affected everything. How we shop, how we get health care, how we play sports, right? Shout out to the Negro Baseball League one time, right? We got a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Love is what solves it. Them brothers supposed to be there right in the MLB books because they helped make the MLB. No different than Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Christy Mathewson, all the rest of them. Duke Snyder, I don't care who you name, Brooklyn Dodgers. Meanwhile, we can't talk about the Brooklyn Royal Giants. That's why I wear that hat so much. I actually freaked out somebody a couple days ago because they thought it was a Boston Red Sox hat. I'm like, nope, not from this Yankee fan over here. Shout out to the Yankees doing their thing. We hope that Aaron Judge gets better. He took a shot to the face with a baseball. It happens. That's part of the game. And we believe he'll be all right. Some negatives came back about his injury. So that's just to throw in something to kind of break up the monotony here. So yeah, they trying to bring it back, and y'all can see images of the statue. It's a shame. But speaking on that brought that to my mind, talking about Mammy and giving credit. Because again, folks didn't want to take care of their babies back then. We talking about laziness on the high level. Take myself a little sip of water right there. So African descent history, again, and when you're talking about this kind of thing, you realize dark folks were on these lands. So part of this dealing with Africa, part of this dealing with that which is hidden from folks, which is this land's origin and history. When you watch the TV show Echo, for those who think that my native brothers and sisters did not have a civilization here when Europe came calling in 1619, oh yes, they did. Early forms of lacrosse and towns and villages, right? Go look up all this stuff, have a look. Right, we already know about the Mayans and Incans and all that kind of thing, man. Folks was living on these lands before y'all came. This is what I'm talking about. I got a note here. Get used to the idea that you're not only kings and queens. This is to my black brothers and sisters. Because yes, there is this idea here, right? Because you're talking about Kemet, you're talking about coming from a Egypt area, all this kind of thing. Yemen, the whole of that Middle Eastern part of the world, right? Mesopotamia, all this kind of thing. Okay. Bedrock of civilization, as they call it. Again, do not discredit that there were other people living in other places, but I digress. Again, God made the thing and put it all together, and people were here living. I know what y'all are gonna say, okay? But people was here. Only kings and queens. Get used to the idea that it's not just that. And that we should rule in fairness. So what I mean by not just kings and queens, you're not just I'm a king, I'm a queen. And yes, you should say those kinds of things. But realize, guys, when you go back in time, 1200s, 1000 AD, 1100, all this kind of thing, kings and queens are all over the place, right? Emperors were all over the place. People, men and women ruling in authority was all over the place. And somewhere along the line, someone said, hey, I don't want to do this. And you can see certain things with different papal documents. Talking about the Catholic Church, again, which stamped off on slavery, right? Going all the way back to about the 1200s, way before good old Columbus came here. See, again, we're talking about what you set a precedent for. The church did that, y'all. The church. We talk about this undivided, right? The church. Blinded in deception. Not following after the love of God. Giving into that which is unholy, which was slavery. Let's not do this thing. See, again, you got too many verses that keep talking to you about how you shouldn't do a thing, why it shouldn't be a thing. Because under the grace of God, right, this dispensation, I know for those on this podcast who are not Christian, but that's a word especially thrown around in the charismatic Christian community, if you want to say it that way, right? The dispensation of grace, okay? Bond nor free. I know we like to explain away. See, Masters taught us how to explain away very well. But that which is ancient and undivided does not explain away. It shows a path. There's a difference. We should be ruling in fairness, love, and judgment to all, capital, all. See, stop doing the divisive thing. Y'all want Wakanda? I got this cup in front of me because I really do believe in it. Shout out to the African diaspora, to the dark person diaspora across the planet. That's why I rock the colors of not only my Jamaican brothers and sisters or Haitian brothers and sisters, island folks, my Filipinos, right? We're talking about, guys, that which is the dark skin tones. Get okay supporting these people because they are also part of the human race. And when we all support each other, we all gain support. When you start doing the divide thing, you leave the door open for somebody else to conquer you. That was Europe's problem. Going back into the thousands to the 1200s, this constant fight for the throne. So much so they made TV shows about it with Game of Thrones. We made it popular to see infidelity. We made it popular to look at, what's one of these words? Not anarchy. I mean, unfair monarchies, of course, but not that. Mutiny. Now, you talk about that when we talk about my pirate brothers and sisters. One time, right? Because I know folks look down on piracy. Again, you're taught to. But when you create an environment where you've got this caste-like system, guess what you breed and feed and fester and create? Piracy. But when you're fair to all, I'm not talking about the ills of society. I'm not talking about the things people do wrong. We're talking about that which went out of balance that causes something to bring it back into balance. If the rich going to go take it all, somebody going to try to take it from the rich. This is just the game, y'all. You want to see less of that theft and piracy? It's time to start supporting your artists better. It's time to start supporting your actors and actresses better, right? I digress. Because again, time has a way of proving all this stuff. So you don't believe it, we keep on going and we'll see how it looks in the next couple of generations, whatever they want to name the next generation after Y or Z or whichever one it is now, right? So yeah, at some point with the Celtic kings, your Scandinavian kings and rulers and emperors, Asian rulers and emperors, right? You had kings in the Congo, various African tribes. You know, I was looking at a sister talking about her family. This dear sister starting to pick up on things, man, learning stuff as you go along. Don't be afraid to learn. You know, why are you afraid to learn? Are you scared? Don't be scared. The truth. See, if you continue in my word indeed, you are I'm paraphrasing, you are my disciples indeed, and you will know the truth. See, because you're a student of it. That's why you know it. That's the word disciple, ain't it? Learning from the teacher. And it will make you free. You know, so much so that the Pharisees, when they were talking to Jesus, got so, we'll go over the verse one day. God, so I'm just talking now just to wrap up things. So much so that they thought Jesus was taking a shot at them. This is how blinded they were in their mind. We Abraham's sons. Ain't we free? Y'all was bound. Don't see, all have sinned mean all have sinned. None righteous means there's none righteous. Bound and slave to missing it. So it don't matter if you was Abraham's son, you missed it. Jesus responded back by letting them know you're trying to kill me. Because again, you can pick up on the vibe in a room, right? You're made in the image of the one who is all knowing, so you can pick up on the vibe in the room. Folks that mean to not do you right, not pay you well on the job, right? Friends that get around you just for your stuff instead of loving you and respecting, honoring just you. You know, Lizzo made a song, Naked, very powerful, impactful song. And just dealing with the fact that you just bare nude in front of that person that you care about, man. Can we get there? See, again, talking about intercultural relationships, do not shy away from that other person's culture. Embrace it. And the biggest one is black and white, because that's the biggest hurdle that they made up. Not that's actually there. They made it up. Break down those walls. To those, whether male or female, who deal with black, male or female, get involved in where they're at. I'm serious. This is how you show a level of loyalty. I'm being for real. It's not okay that folks clown on those you love as black brothers and sisters. And also to my black brothers and sisters, stop clowning on your white brother and sister, your European brother and sister. Yes, I know there is trauma involved. Yes, I know maybe one of a friend of an ancestor was your ancestor's slave owner. Yes, I know. But where do we redeem the time, ladies and gentlemen? See, where does the love and compassion come back? Or do we stay in this fight forever that ends only in bloodshed and death? That's not where it's at, y'all. Policies and laws. Let's see here. Europe 2.0. The national colors and shapes. Again, you got to look and see when you're talking about Europe 2.0. Union Jack's sharing the same colors with. I'm sorry. I know it bothers folks. That's all right. The national song. You realize when you're talking about the Star Stripes, Star Spangled Banner, you're dealing with a song that is based out of an English pub song. Again, we're talking about England is all over this thing because they conquered these lands, y'all. The idea is a real thing and people try to disassociate from it, and that's all right. It is what it is, but time is such that we can learn and grow. From many government processes, you start to look at a lot of different government processes. Has a lot to do with things that dealt in a monarchical type of system, got nothing to do with the people. And again, you see it a lot of times with people voting. They're voting on a person, and yes, you got to be careful what policies. And most of the time, like I've said it on this podcast, especially on the Election Day episode, by the time you go to vote for these people, they've already signed up for Screw You magazine. That's the analogy I like using. Okay? They don't care about you. They give you enough little crumbs, but the ratio is off, y'all. We've been behind. You see, while you were keeping the black man behind, you were also behind yourself in buying into a system that you thought was going to elevate you when they just are using you. White brother and sister, Asian brother and sister. I'm talking about everybody who believes in this kind of thing here. And again, we can make this thing. We're not talking about tearing down nothing. Normally when you start hearing this kind of talk from folks, no. The same way governments were made, governments can be adjusted. They need to be. It's the healthy part of the game. And again, in a lot of the words and phrases that they're giving you, they're not telling you the whole of a thing. So we can kick this democracy and republic thing all you want to. Again, the base element. Same thing with capitalism and communism, guys. Again, if capitalism is a boss making profit off his business, as soon as you introduce workers in there, it's a hybrid. Because now the laborers are supposed to be paid their wage, right? Especially if you introducing Christianity into this. This is what the Bible tells you, that the hireling is worth their wage, right? That we pay everybody equal, right? See, again, people are disassociating from certain things. They don't want to take responsibility for what happened before them. Guys and gals, we got to take responsibility for what has happened before us. It's in our court, right? The ball is in your court now. What do you do? Do you continue to act like massa or not? It's time to open up the worldview. Segregated hospitals. That was the thing here. And I got a whole lot of stuff. Men's health, very important, right? Black men, right? Exercise, again, we've already mentioned it. We'll say it again for that part of the body there, right? Since we love, and again, sexual energy is a binding energy with people, okay? It's been made by God, made by the Creator, by the great designer and fashioner to continue to dress and keep this planet, right? Yes, we understand now at this point from learning and studying about sex, again, because we know there's a lot of folks who like the turtle shell, but those brave enough to stick their head out the shell, this is not making fun of anybody, this is just talking the truth. If you want to take it that way, so be it. When you get to the point to start studying that which affects you, you understand that there are very many chemical balances or imbalances that need to be balanced that come from the venue of sex. Right? So again, though, black man and woman, we make it harder on ourselves constantly having baby mamas. Someone's got to pay for the formula. Like we talked about Infamil right on the podcast, right? You got your diapers, you got this, that. And when you got broken homes like that, how does the money flow? You got to change families. You got to have family, husband and wife. Even if y'all are not married, get back into common law thought process. I know in marriage they played around with it just so some man can make money off you. That's another thing. Stop being bought. You know, I heard a thing on a podcast. Instead of always boycotting everything, what about we boycott? See, the point is they keep taking our money because we keep going to them, giving these places that don't care about us and are okay kicking us out and segregating us and all this kind of thing. You talking about women, black women, you talking about life coming in the planet. You had issues with abortion, but a black woman came into a segregated hospital back in the 60s. You would turn her away? White doctor, you would turn her away. But you about life, though. Oh, it's only about the white life. We get it. We get it. I heard somebody tell this to me this way, and this is very true. You know the cool thing about Donald Trump is that, and I'm saying it this way on purpose to bring out a thought, and this is for those who believe this way. Not that I think it's cool. And not that many of us who are the 500 strong here think that this is cool. Here is the thing. When it comes to making sure people are comfortable enough in the thing. You got to be careful about that. How genuine, right? Intentions. We talked about this with friendship. What is the intention? What's the plan? The plan is to make sure that racism rises again. I told y'all, South never lost. Nobody lost that war. That was 4 years of fighting for no reason. And it ended with the same thing it began with, which is making the money off the backs of somebody else. The Reconstruction was a farce. Did you see black towns come up? Did you see protections in the laws for the black towns burned down after the 1880s through the 1920s? No, you did not. Still to this day in Oklahoma, they won't do what's right. Oh, well, if we do this, then everybody can. Yeah, that's the point. That's all right, though. That's all right. Because, see, again, you can't stop life from growing. To my black brothers and sisters, start doing your own businesses, man. Stop going. Again, it's okay to put money to the other places because when we profit, we all profit, right? But at the end of the day, there's part of us that are not profiting because we ourselves are not putting back into ourselves. As Juneteenth is today, there ought to be places, and we're going to end here. There ought to be places here where you can go, okay? There ought to be places where you can go where you're accepted. You're not turned away. Places where most people can go. All people, right, can go. When we talk about most people, different things that we believe as far as that goes on. This is not a shot at homosexual and transgender people, but again, to y'all of which are in the black community, this is a very real thing. Make a safe haven for people. They don't want you around. You got to make a safe haven where y'all can shop and you ain't got to worry about Orlando where you're getting shot, right? Going to nightclubs, you can't even dance and have fun without somebody shooting you down because they believe you're an abomination. Talking about that X-Men stuff, man. No, we are not, right? No, we are not. No, the woman is not. No, the man is not. Whether folks think they simp and all this other stupid stuff they say, nope. No, the homosexual is not. No, the transgender is not. No, the black man and woman is not. We are beautifully, beautifully and wonderfully made. Whether you believe it or not. So that's what I got for y'all today. Again, men, be careful with your health, your circulatory system, especially brothers. Get your mental right. Get your mind right. Stop worrying about therapy and all that and making you weak. It makes you stronger. When you are whole as a man, spirit, soul, and body, you tap into a strength other people don't see. That's why they look at you weird. For my conscience brothers and sisters out there, right? That's why they look at you weird. Because you're operating on a different level. Not because you're crazy. You're operating on a different level. And they don't understand that, but we understand. Y'all understand that. Right? Right? Do not reject things inside of intercultural relationships and marriages and stuff. Y'all be okay embracing that which is the dark history and the possibility to the good history of the culture you come from. That's what it is. I think the biggest note here that I can end on this with the church, Negro League baseball, no matter what it is, do not let the sickness that infected Europe infect us as well. Take the antidote for that sickness, which is wisdom, knowledge of others and yourselves, and love. Most importantly, driven, the engine for this thing is love, y'all. So that's what I got for you today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for walking this road with me, man. Thank you for walking this road with me. Shout out one time to Juneteenth Celebration, whether you believe in doing it or not. Shout out one time that we free, right? We're free, okay? And the precedent that was set by then can spread to all humanity. That's what I got for y'all today. Thank you for walking this road with me. And as always, look to find the beauty in a different view.